Sowing shadows, the dark harvest of slave breeding in America. In the vast landscape of American history, there lies a haunting grove where humanity's most chilling tendencies took root, the practice of slave breeding. Beyond the fiscal calculations and profit margins, the essence of this brutal system was a profound personal intrusion. It was a perverse dance of power, economics, and systematic cruelty, choreographed to the whims of an insidious market. In the twilight years of the 18th century, the initial flow of enslaved Africans to the American colonies had begun its slow, albeit forced, ebb. With the act prohibiting importation of slaves of 1808, importing enslaved people from Africa became illegal. But the demand for labor, especially in the sprawling cotton fields of the Deep South, did not wane. Instead, it transformed, turning its hungry gaze inward. The focus now shifted to an internal propagation mechanism, wherein the existing enslaved population would be coerced into increasing its numbers. Virginia, which boasted one of the highest populations of enslaved people in the early 19th century, soon earned the morbid moniker of the breeding state. Infamously, Robert Lumpkin, who ran the notorious Lumpkin's Jail in Richmond, not only oversaw the sales of countless souls, but was also implicated in this breeding practice. His jail, often referred to as the Devil's Half-Acre, bore witness to immeasurable sufferings, including the forced couplings and family separations inherent in slave breeding. There are accounts, like that of Harriet Jacobs, an escaped slave who penned the autobiography Incidents in the Life of a Slave Woman. Harriet detailed the lascivious attentions of her master, Dr. James Norcom. Her narrative provides a window into the lives of countless women whose rights were infringed, not out of lust alone, but as part of a cold, calculated economic strategy. Norcom's obsession with Jacobs, driven by both perverse desire and the prospect of producing more slaves, made her life on his estate a living nightmare. The letters of Mary Chestnut, a Southern planter's wife, offer another perspective. In her writings, she noted the disconcerting sight of white slaveholders surrounded by multiracial children, unmistakably their own, yet bound in chains. She wrote, "Like the patriarchs of old, our men live all in one house with their wives and their concubines, and the mulattoes one sees in every family exactly resemble the white children." It's a chilling testimony to the open secrets of plantations, where forced unions produced children who, despite having slave-holding fathers, were condemned to the shackles of servitude. Curiously, slave breeding was rarely discussed overtly in public discourse. It was like a specter. Everyone knew of its existence, but few dared to acknowledge it out loud. There were, however, oblique references. Advertisements in newspapers selling breeding women or wenches were not uncommon. Their coded language belied the tragedy these simple words encapsulated. Anecdotes abound of breeding farms, where the most virile men and fertile women were paired, often against their will. Young women were subjected to systematic violence to ensure they bore children early and frequently. Families were torn apart, not just by sales, but by this practice as well, with fathers, brothers, and husbands powerless to protect the women they loved.
Buckbreaking was mainly utilized in the Caribbean. It was used against enslaved men who were seen as defiant. The process included forcing the male slave to bend over a tree stump, drop trowel, expose his bare behind while it is propped in the air. The slave was then flogged to tenderize the flesh for the sodomy that followed multiple times. This form of punishment was done in full view of the slave family and friends to instill fear in the hopes to prevent future rebellion. Men of bondage who were victims of this inhumane, sadistic, homoerotic, emasculating punishment often ran away from the plantations or killed themselves as the humiliation was much too strong to overcome. The sodomy was often performed by a white man who traveled from plantation to rape male slaves. Sex farms allowed multiple slave owners to gang rape male slaves as punishment for any supposed wrongdoing. Homosexuality in this era was not a popular pastime, yet raping male slaves as a form of plantation punishment was somehow acceptable. Buck breaking is typically left out of the history books due to its taboo nature of male-on-male rape. Society has ignored any testimony to male-on-male rape until only recently. Sexual violence used to project fear can be a powerful tool of manipulation. Weaponizing sexuality can debilitate one's core self-esteem and disable their sense of community. Buck-breaking was a means to squash rebellion before it was even conceptualized. Families of the enslaved bucks were forced to bear witness to the sodomy, ensuring there was no will to be defiant or rebellious. Sexual mutilation, including castration, were other forms of punishment for those with stronger will. These acts solidified the mental dominance white men needed to tame their bucks into obedient, working slaves. Emasculating male slaves physically was the final step to subdue the defiant buck.
Like, it's just like the image of the black man is starting to be turned soft and
emasculated.
Yeah, like just
Yeah.
emasculated,
Yeah,
like just completely.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like people love to see that, like because you tired of seeing us be strong. Like
Yeah.
you want us, you looking forward to seeing us be weak, so you celebrate that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I noticed a shift in that, like a lot of times, especially because I'm 6'3", 235, and I'm as alpha as they come. But I start seeing that because the whole narrative of the emasculation, just sometimes my presence be too much for motherfuckers.
Exactly.
I walk in because they not used to seeing a alpha, you know what I mean? I walk in and motherfuckers get to getting scared and you can't say shit, too much bass in your voice and motherfuckers, get offended and they get, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What you think you think it's a conspiracy or you think that's just the
I
world
think-
just being decadent and just going to hell?
I think
like that?
that's the direction that society is, that they're trying to, that's the direction that they trying to push
Mm-hmm.
the culture. Like they see, the image they want to see of the black man is the zesty black man popping his ass for the devil. Like, that's what they don't want to see. Like if you just look at most of the rappers, like even the gangster rappers that come out with a gangster song, next, give him 2 videos, this nigga got a stylist, and next thing you know, he dressed like French Montana. Like, it's like, It's like, no, everything is zesty. Like, all right, that's gangster, but we need you a bit more zesty. Like, you know what I mean?
No way. No way. Why not? Because